Part 75. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 741. Chapter 741. I think he must have bad intentions. At this moment, he wanted to kill Bai Yisheng. You know, Brother Bai actually told me today. Xiao Mian talked for a while, and suddenly she felt that something was wrong. From the beginning to the end, the man beside her didn't seem to respond to her. Moreover, she suddenly felt a cold air blowing towards her. The temperature of the air conditioner in the room was adjusted very appropriately. She was still wrapped in a bath towel, but when the cold air blew on her, she was still cold all over. Trembling, she turned her head in confusion and faced a face as dark as the bottom of a pot. The man's deep brows and eyes were covered with a layer of air conditioning, and his pursed thin lips also showed a cold arc, turning into the jealous person who keep away from strangers. Xiao Mian was stunned for only a few seconds, and she quickly guessed why he was angry again. She was dumbfounded. Feeling a little tired. If she said that Mo Yesi is the most jealous man in the world, no one should refute her. Not long after she coaxed him away, he became angry again. He is really more jealous than women. However, if she is married to a jealous husband, what else can she do except find ways to coax her? I don't dare to say anything about returning the goods. Once I do, I'm afraid he will be in trouble for days and nights. Mo Yesi, do you know that Brother Bai has a younger sister? He said that his younger sister separated from them when she was very young. He has always wanted to have another younger sister, but his mother is unwilling to have any more children. So, he has always regretted not having a sister by his side when he was growing up. Mo Yesi knew about this. This matter is not a secret among several large families with quite good personal relationships. Everyone knows that the Bai family has a daughter left behind, who had to be separated from them due to some special reasons. When the Bai family later resolved the crisis and wanted to get their daughter back, they lost contact with the family that took her in. This lost contact has never been found again. However, the Bai family has not given up yet and continues to search. He didn't know why Xiao Mian suddenly mentioned this matter to him. However, he felt even more unhappy. Bai Yisheng actually told Xiao Mian all about it. Although this matter is no longer a secret among them, it is because they are on good terms with each other. What is the relationship between Xiao Mian and him? How many days have they known each other? The relationship is not that good yet. He even told her some things about his family. What did he want to do? Want to poach a corner? For a moment, the strong feeling of cuckoldry made Mo Yesi unable to sit still. He really wanted to go find Bai Yisheng right away. Ask this guy what he wants to do. As the saying goes, don't bully your friends' wives. Is a man who covets his own brother's woman still a human being? So he listened with a cold face and endured the sourness in his stomach for a while. He couldn't bear it anymore and said sourly, "Did he tell you that seeing you is like seeing his sister? I can't help but want to get close to you. Did he ask you to call him Brother Bai?" Xiao Mian's eyes widened a little and she looked at him in surprise. Mo Yesi lowered his eyes and looked at her. How do I know? They are all men. How can I know a man's thoughts? You are the only one who foolishly believed what he said. I think he must have no good intentions. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 742. Chapter 742, This man is really too much. Mo Yesi, can you stop being jealous? Xiao Mian stretched out her hand to rub her forehead, feeling a headache. Brother Bai doesn't like women like me. He has no feelings for men and women. He really treats me like a sister, and I also think he is very much like a big brother. The relationship between us is a very pure one. Don't keep thinking that other men have evil intentions towards me. Xiao Mian still believes in her intuition. She could feel that Bai Yusheng really had no thoughts about her as a man or woman. Only the jealous person around her would find her charming and loved by everyone. But, she is not RMB, how could everyone like her? Sister, brother, Mo Yesi sneered with a cold face and pulled his lips sarcastically, you don't have any thoughts about him, but he doesn't care about you? Baby, I said I am a man, and only men understand men best. The mind thinks. What a Bai Yusheng, how dare you covet my woman? Mo Yesi's anger reached its peak, and he couldn't bear it, so he picked up his cell phone and called Bai Yusheng. After a few rings, the call was connected, and a lazy and careless voice came over, Mr. Mo, what's the matter? You called me so late at night. Could it be that Mian didn't let you in? You can't find a place to stay. Do you want me to take you in for a night? Mo Yesi could no longer suppress his anger when he heard his cry of Mian. He narrowed his eyes, a terrible anger welling up in his deep eyes, but the corners of his lips curled up a little bit, and he gritted his teeth and said word by word, Bai Yusheng, do you want to die? When Xiao Mian knew that he had called Bai Yusheng, she jumped out of bed. She was so angry that she grabbed his phone. Mo Yesi, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Seeing her coming to grab the phone, Mo Yesi's face turned even darker. He avoided her and said harshly to Bai Yusheng on the other end of the phone, I handed this person over to you because of our friendship with you here, at least she won't suffer any injustice. I will give my woman to you because I trust you. But what happened? You actually had evil thoughts about her. Do you believe that I will make it impossible for you to survive in the entertainment industry now? Xiao Mian was so angry that he almost fainted. She knew that Mo Yesi was jealous. She knew that he was very small-minded in relationships, so small that he would be jealous for no reason at any time and at any time. But he had never done anything so irrational when he was jealous before. She didn't expect that just because she called Bai Yusheng brother Bai, he would conclude that Bai Yusheng had ill intentions towards her, and even called him to scold her. When he did this, did he put himself in her shoes and help her think about it? When his temper gets up, he doesn't care. He only cares about whether he feels comfortable venting his anger. He will not care about the impact of these things on others. She suddenly felt very wronged and wanted to cry. This man is really too much. His possessiveness towards her has reached a perverted level. She cannot establish a slightly better relationship with anyone of the opposite sex. Once established, in his eyes, becoming someone else is not a good idea. He does this because he wants all the members of the opposite in the circle to be afraid of her and stay away from her. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 743. Chapter 743 I apologize, I did something wrong. He doesn't allow anyone of the opposite to get even remotely close to her, but what about himself? Doesn't he also have friends of the opposite sex? They are still childhood sweethearts whom I have known for more than 20 years. Does he mean that only the state officials are allowed to set fires and the people are not allowed to light lamps? The more Xiao Mian thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt, and tears flowed out uncontrollably. Bai Yusheng is such an arrogant person. She was scolded by him for no reason, and it was because of her. She probably didn't need to go to the set tomorrow. Frustrated, she retracted the hand that was about to grab his phone, reached out to touch the tears at the corner of her eyes, turned around, and didn't want to pay attention to him anymore. Anyway, she couldn't stop him. However, when she thought that the role she had finally gotten was lost because of his inexplicable jealousy, she felt extremely aggrieved and sad. At this moment, she really hated Mo Yesi. Moyesi was threatening Bai Yasheng when he suddenly heard sobbing from behind him. He turned around and saw Xiao Mian sitting on the edge of the bed wiping tears. When her eyes were swollen from crying, he was stunned and suddenly panicked. He didn't care to say any more harsh words. He threw away the phone and immediately turned around and walked over. "Baby." As soon as he opened his mouth, he heard Xiao Mian say in a choked voice, "Moyesi, do you hope that no man will appear around me? Only then will you feel at ease with me? Do you just want me to stay at home? Don't go either, will you be satisfied?" "I." The girl's voice is not as soft and sweet as before, nor is it as intimate as before. Moyesi could hear a bit of indifference and alienation from it. He clenched his fists, and his heart became more and more panicked. "That's not what I meant. Why is she crying? When did she cry? I wanted her in the bathroom before and she cried when she couldn't bear it anymore." But when he saw her tears, he felt excited, and he just wanted to bully her even more. And her tears now made him very flustered. Big tears fell from her eyes and hid her porcelain white and pink face. Moyesi reached out to wipe her tears, but she tilted her head and avoided his hand, lowering her eyes without even looking at him. The meaning of alienation is very obvious. "Baby." Moyesi's hand froze in the air for a while, then he slowly took it back and said in a somewhat difficult voice, "I apologize, I did something wrong. Don't cry anymore, I'll call him again now, tell him what happened just now was all a misunderstanding, okay? Actually, you don't have to worry. Bai Yasheng and I have known each other for many years, and he won't get really angry with me because of those words he just said. He won't get angry with you because of it. If you like this show, I guarantee that you can let's get to the ending smoothly, okay? I was overwhelmed by jealousy. I admit that I was not rational enough and was a little impulsive just now. However, it is precisely because I know what kind of person Bai Yasheng is that I feel that he treats you." At this point, he stopped silenced. She was angry. He was afraid that if he said those words, she would be even more angry. "Anyway, it's my fault for making you cry." Moyesi turned around, picked up the phone that was thrown on the table, and then slowly walked back to her. "What can I do to stop you from being angry? Can I call him again and apologize to him?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 744. Chapter 744, Jealous and Jealous. As long as she stops crying, he can do anything he wants. Her tears were like shards of glass piercing his heart, making him extremely uncomfortable. Xiao Mian raised her eyes that were red and swollen from crying, and finally looked at him, but her eyes were still cold and distant. "Moyesi, do you think I'm angry with you about this?" Moyesi was stunned. "Isn't it because of this incident?" "That." Xiao Mian took a deep breath and wiped her tears. She looked at him and thought for a while before saying, "It's related to this matter, but it's not all because of this matter. Moyesi, you know, if people live too self-consciously and don't care about other people's feelings, will it be tiring to be with such a person?" Moyesi pursed his lips. "So, you feel tired when you are with me," he said in a hoarse voice after a moment of silence. Xiao Mian shook his head. "Actually not. I feel very happy during this time with you." A trace of surprise flashed in the man's deep eyes, and he stared at her for a few seconds. "But, you just said you would be tired." "Well, that's what I just said." Xiao Mian nodded. "I mean, if you stay together for a long time, you will get tired. You are too controlling and possessive. There is no way there won't be others around me. The opposite appears. Furthermore, the circle I am in now and my career have destined me to come into contact with many members of the opposite in the future. Moyesi, it is impossible for me to throw away all my friends of the opposite after marrying you. This is unrealistic. If it were you, could you do it? Of course I. Moyesi opened his mouth, but stopped mid-sentence. Actually, he wanted to say that of course he could. As long as she says a word, he can do anything for her. With her, what other friends of the opposite does he need? Her world is enough for him. However, he knew she didn't want to hear such an answer. This will only make her think that he is even more abnormal. What will women think when faced with an abnormal man? You might want to run away. You can't do it, right? Chiao Mian misunderstood what he meant. You can't do it yourself, so why do you ask me to do it? Moyesi stared at her closely and couldn't help blurting out, then what if, I can do it? Chiao Mian was startled, then shook her head, I can't do that. As long as you are a normal person, you have a normal social circle. I can only promise that I will not have any thoughts about them beyond friendship, but there is no such thing. I can't interact with friends of the opposite sex. No matter what profession, there are people of the opposite sex. How is it possible if we don't interact with each other at all? Moyesi looked at her and seemed to be calming down. He hesitantly stretched out his hand again. After feeling that she didn't dodge, his long and cool fingers fell on the corners of her eyes. He gently and carefully removed the tears from the corners of her eyes. Wipe it off. I didn't mean to ask you not to have contact with the opposite sex. He wiped her tears while approaching her. I never thought of asking you like this. Chiao Mian, in your heart, I am like this, a paranoid and unreasonable person. Chiao Mian looked at him without saying anything. He never asked for it. The result is jealousy. I am jealous of the leading male on the crew, and I am also jealous of the director of the crew. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 745. Chapter 745. I will change whatever I don't like. Whether he asked for it or not, does it make any difference? Moyesi must have thought of these two things. There was a momentary uneasiness on his face. He covered his lips and coughed lightly. That guy named Tu does have bad intentions. You stay away from him, that's right. Okay, I think I understand what you mean. In the future, I will slowly change it, okay. Chiao Mian, I know there are many unflattering things about me. If you don't like it, I will change it. Just give me some time. I will change it. I will change whatever you don't like. Moyesi is essentially a man who is extremely possessive and controlling. In front of Chiao Mian, he was already very restrained. If he exposes his truest side in front of her, I'm afraid he will scare her away. Just what she showed now made her feel stressed and tired. How dare he let her know that he has actually restrained himself a lot now? The man begged her almost in a low voice. Chiao Mian raised her head and looked at his cautious and a little nervous expression, and her heart was suddenly touched. This is Moyesi. Growing up with a silver spoon in his mouth, he has always had others ask for him. He can't ask anyone, and he doesn't need to ask anyone else, Moyesi. But now. But he lowered his attitude so low and begged her. When and who had he asked for this? She doesn't like him being too domineering, nor does she like him being too possessive. But if he didn't care about her so much, he wouldn't even look at her twice when he became cold. Is it wrong to care about someone? Can you control yourself if you like someone? Facing Moyesi like this, Chiao Mian suddenly softened her heart. Yes, when she first met him, she knew what kind of person he was. His character has been developed since childhood. Having had this kind of personality for more than 20 years, how could he change it all at once? She has to give him time. You have to give yourself time too. Okay, I promise you. She looked at him, the coldness and alienation in her eyes gradually faded away, and she stretched out her hand, motioning for him to lower his head a little. Moyesi immediately did as he was told. Chiao Mian stretched out her hand again, and her soft little hand fell on his handsome and deep face, gently caressing his angular eyebrows and high bridge of nose, and finally fell on his warm and soft thin lips. She raised her little face and looked into his eyes. After a few seconds of silence, she said in a soft voice, "Mo Yesi, can you promise me something as well?" The man's eyes were very deep, staring at her intently, and nodded slightly. "Okay, you say." No matter what she asked for. He promised her everything. But whenever she opens her mouth, does he ever reject her? Even if she wanted the stars in the sky, he would find a way to get them for her. Don't be so impulsive in the future. Chiao Mian frowned slightly. Thinking of his actions just now, she frowned again and couldn't help but sigh. "Mo Yesi, since I've married you, she is your wife, and from now on, the only person I like will be you. I can't guarantee what others think, but I can guarantee my own." When he heard her say the word like, the man's dark eyes lit up. "So, don't always worry about who will me away. Are you so unsure of yourself? Do you think you are such an unattractive man that any man can compare to you?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 746. Chapter 746. Have you started to like me now? No. Mo Yesi gradually had a smile in his eyes. Of course not. She would not know that he was not such a lack of confidence. In fact, it is only when he encounters things related to her that he feels like he has lost control and feels unconfident. Because he thinks she is too good. Everything about him is full of advantages. She is so good, of course everyone will like her. If there are too many people who like her, he will feel a sense of crisis. In my eyes, my husband is the best in the world. No one can compare to him. Chiao Mian decided to say something nice to give someone a dose of reassurance and stability. Give him more confidence. Lest he always doubt this or that. She rolled her eyes and searched for all kinds of sweet words in her mind. After searching them out, she said them all to him. "Other men can't even compare to a hair of yours." "How could I see that? Come on them." As she spoke, she felt the eyes focused on her face become hotter. As soon as she raised her eyes, she met a pair of deep, dark eyes that were burning with fire. This look was too familiar to her. She subconsciously tightened the towel on her body, and the soreness in her thighs frightened her and said, "Mo Yesi, I have to get up early tomorrow. I'm very tired now." "I know." The man's Adam's apple rolled and he spoke in a low voice, "Baby, I haven't thought about what to do. Don't worry, I won't touch you again today." Chiao Mian looked at him doubtfully. He said this every time, and the result was. Mo Yesi sat down next to her, emotionally put his arms around her, placed his big hands on her hair and stroked her hair, and whispered in her ear, "What you just said was your sincerity. Men's bodies are also hot." But the hand around her waist remained polite and did not move. Chiao Mian felt a little relieved. She leaned into his arms, rested her head on his chest, listened to his heartbeat and replied, "Yes, I mean it sincerely. You just said that you will only like me in the future." So. Mo Yesi took a deep breath, the hand stroking her hair slowly moved to her chin, pinched her chin and raised it slightly, looking into her eyes with his deep black eyes. "Can I understand this? Have you started to like me now?" Chiao Mian looked at him without hesitation. With a little nervous expectation, he nodded slightly. "Well, you can understand it that way." In fact, she had already fallen in love with him. When did it start? She couldn't remember clearly, but it was probably from the moment he seriously promised in front of her and Xiao Chen that he would take good care of their siblings and become someone they could rely on. That warmth warmed her heart. The next thing. His many actions made him occupy more and more positions in her heart. She is just an ordinary girl. Meeting such an excellent man who treated her so well, unless her heart was made of stone, how could she not be moved by him? The moment she nodded, the man's handsome face enlarged in front of her eyes, and his warm and moist lips fell, kissing her gently and tenderly. This kiss was neither intense nor lasting. He just took her lips in his mouth, sucked lightly, and then pulled away. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 747. Chapter 747. Why is ACI's cell phone in your hand? How much do you like me? He pressed her forehead, his breath spread all over her cheeks, and rubbed her affectionately, his deep voice filled with undisguised joy. Huh. Tell me, how much do you like me? Even if she likes him only half as much as he does, it is enough. He can spend the rest of his life slowly going to her to exchange for the other half. Xiao Mian couldn't help but laugh. I like it a lot, okay. Well, okay. The corners of Mo Yesi's lips raised a little bit, and his eyebrows also raised, but I'm very greedy, and I want more likes. Baby, can you try to like me more? More likes? Well, just think I'm greedy. Before she expressed her feelings to him, even a little bit of her liking was enough for him. But now, he felt it was not enough. He wants more. He wants her to only have eyes for him. He wants to be the one she firmly chooses. However, I may be slow to warm up, and I won't like someone too quickly. It doesn't matter. Mo Yesi raised his lips. I can wait. Can I wait as long as I want? Well, you can wait as long as you want. But, I still hope that I don't have to wait too long. With affection in his eyes, the man murmured softly, baby, I will work hard. I will work hard to make you like me more. Xiao Mian couldn't help but ask, what about you? If you let me like you a little more, then you will treat me. Before she could finish her words, Mo Yesi took her hand and pressed it to his heart. Baby, this position has been occupied by you for a long time. It's all about you. In an instant, Xiao Mian's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. The words he just said kept coming over and over in my ears. He said, this position has long been occupied by you. He said, it's all you inside. Mo Yesi. Xiao Mian, I like you. The man's deep voice was full of affection, and his dark eyes only held her figure. He whispered affectionately, word by word, I like you very much. My heart is filled with you. My mind is also filled with you. The whole world is all about you. Like it to the point of madness. The lips with the refreshing breath of mint fell gently. Xiao Mian couldn't help but hook her arms around his neck, and closed her eyes with fluttering eyelashes. After a while, Mo Yesi stood up and walked towards the bathroom. Baby, I'm going to take a bath. If the takeout arrives, you eat first. After a while, Xiao Mian heard the sound of rushing water coming from the bathroom. Not long after Mo Yesi went to the bathroom, his cell phone rang. Xiao Mian walked over and took a look, and saw that the caller ID turned out to be Shenro. She frowned without realizing it. After hesitating for a few seconds, she picked up the call button and pressed the call button. ACI, have I disturbed your rest? Shenro's voice came over, sounding very gentle, especially the ACI, it also evoked some lingering feelings. Xiao Mian held the phone and said nothing. Shenro didn't know that she was the one who answered the phone. Xiao Mian remained silent and didn't say anything. She didn't seem to mind. She smiled and said softly, you are in F City now. I heard Aunt Mo said that Mian was out of town. Something happened and you were worried about her, So you went over to see her. How is she doing now? Is her mood stable? What happened to those scandals? Did she explain it to you? Actually, I've also watched that video. I think it must have been maliciously hyped by the unscrupulous media. There is no ambiguous behavior in the video. Besides, Mian is married to you. Do you still need to take advantage of the popularity of a male actor? ACI, you love her so much. As long as she tells you, it's just a matter of you saying which drama she wants to play. But ACI, do you know that Aunt Mo doesn't really agree with Mian acting? She told me about this matter today. She felt that with the current power and position of the Mo family, it would not be good for people to know that the second young lady of the Mo family is an actress. I also know that this is your family matter. As an outsider, I shouldn't say too much. However, I also feel that the career of an actor is not very good. It is inevitable that people will gossip. Have you ever thought about letting Mian quit the entertainment industry? Of Chiao Mian kept listening silently. She wanted to know what Shenro wanted to say. Hearing this, I almost understand it. Honestly, are you working as a lobbyist for MRSMO? Do you want Mo Yesi to persuade her to quit the entertainment industry? ACI, are you listening to me? I know that you dote on Mian very much, so you rely on her for everything, but do you think it's really okay for her to be like this now? The entertainment industry is a big mess. You really don't have to worry about it. Will she stay forever? Chiao Mian finally couldn't help but sneered. Miss Shen actually likes to worry about other people's affairs. I heard what you just said, and I heard it very clearly. First of all, thank you Miss Shen for worrying about me, but I want to say that since Ms. Shen also knows that these things are our family's business, it is better for you, an outsider, to stay out of your own business. Whether the entertainment industry is good or not, whether it is suitable for me or not, has nothing to do with me as an actor or even my husband. I didn't say anything, but Miss Shen, an outsider, has a bad attitude and will be gossiped about, but she is more worried about me than my husband. Chiao Mian, Shenro seemed shocked when she heard her voice. How come ACI's cell phone is in your hand, and where is everyone else's? Are you talking about my husband? Chiao Mian glanced in the direction of the bathroom, curled her lips, turned and walked towards the bathroom, walked to the door, stretched out her hand and knocked on the door. The man's low voice came from the bathroom, "Baby, what's wrong?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 748. Chapter 748. Do you dare to tell him this? As soon as she finished speaking, she couldn't help but get goosebumps. Feeling numb to death. In the bathroom, it was quiet for a while. It was so quiet that Chiao Mian doubted whether Mo Yesi hadn't heard those disgusting words just now. Perhaps I heard it and felt numb to her, so I didn't want to speak. Just when she was about to knock on the door and ask him again, the sound of water stopped, and the man's low and hoarse voice spoke again. "Okay, my husband will come out and sleep with you right away." Chiao Mian. Sleep. Mo Yesi actually told her to sleep. This was the first time she heard such childish superposition words from his mouth, and she was a little shocked. So much so that she forgot that she was still talking to Shenro. She stood at the bathroom door in a daze for a while before she remembered the matter. She originally thought that Shenro would be so angry that she would just hang up the phone. You can pick up the phone and look at it, and find that the call is still on. At this time, she had to admire Shenro's inner strength. Shenro must have heard the conversation between her and Mo Yesi just now. Especially hers. She originally wanted Shenro to hear it, so she raised her voice on purpose. If it were an ordinary person, he would have hung up the phone long ago after hearing the ambiguous conversations just now. But Shenro is indeed not an ordinary person. The eldest lady of the Shen family is still different from ordinary people. Chiao Mian thought for a moment and raised the phone to her ear. Ms. Shen, you just heard it? My husband and I are going to bed. If you have nothing else to do, then I will hang up. Chiao Mian, you answered ACI's call without his permission. Did he know you did this? Do you think those words you just said can irritate me? Ha, that's ridiculous. Don't you think those little tricks of yours are too childish? So funny. True love doesn't need to be shown off. The more something is lacking, the more you want to show off. I tell you, I'm not envious at all. Those little tricks of yours are of no use to me. Listening to Shenro's almost gnashing of teeth, Chiao Mian couldn't help but laugh. Oh, really? Since Miss Shen wasn't stimulated, why should she be so excited? Also, I did it without my husband's permission. I took your call, but I don't think he would mind. ACI hates people taking his things without his permission. Shenro gritted her teeth and said, do you dare to tell him about this? Are you sure? Chiao Mian said amusedly. Miss Shen, let me remind you that I am his wife, not someone else. He will be angry if others touch his things, but he will be angry if I touch anything of his. It's impossible to be angry with me. I have known ACI for more than 20 years. I don't need you to remind me what kind of character he is. Shenro seemed to be angered by Chiao Mian's words, and her tone was much sharper. Chiao Mian, even if you are his wife, you don't have the right to touch his things. Then Miss Shen, do you want me to prove it to you personally? Chiao Mian really found it funny. A woman actually talked about how to get to know her husband in front of her. The words were full of provocation. It can be imagined that he did not take her, the so-called MRSMO, seriously at all. Chiao Mian is not a person who likes to compete with others. So when she first realized that Shenro liked Mo Yesi, she didn't take it seriously. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 749. Chapter 749. My people are all yours, what can't you touch? However, just because she doesn't take it seriously doesn't mean others think so too. This was a direct provocation to her. If she didn't retaliate, they would think she was easy to bully. Especially, the person who provoked her was Shenro. Chiao Mian has tolerated Shenro for a long time. Okay, Shenro sneered on the other end of the phone, prove it to me. If you have the guts, don't secretly delete the call history. Of course I won't delete it. Chiao Mian glanced into the bathroom and smiled. My husband is coming out soon. I'm going to ask him if I can answer his call. As soon as she finished speaking, the bathroom door opened with a click. Having just taken a cold shower, the man walked out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel and covered with moisture. The wet short hair is still dripping with water. The water droplets slipped from his forehead, traveled along the cold and deep lines of his face, and finally rolled down onto his thin crimson lips. The bath towel only covers the lower body. The exposed chest muscles of the upper body are attractive, and the abdominal muscles are even more attractive. There were also water drops on his body that had not been wiped off. As he moved, the small water droplets slid down from his chest and rolled along his abdominal muscles into the two mermaid lines. Further down, Chiao Mian looked at the seductive picture of a beautiful man taking a bath in front of her, swallowed her saliva, and her mouth felt a little dry. Although she had a particularly deep experience of how beautiful this alluring male body was not long ago, she would still be tempted every time she saw such a picture. This man Mo Yesi has a great figure. Look at it once and you will be tempted once. Baby. Seeing her standing at the door, Mo Yesi was stunned for a moment, then quickly walked to her side, put his arms around her, and said gently, "Why are you still standing here? Don't you mean you are sleepy?" Oh. Only then did Xiao Mian come to her senses, shook her phone at him, and then said, "When you went to take a shower just now, Miss Shen called you, and I answered it for you. By the way, the phone hasn't been hung up yet. Shall I give it to you?" Did Shenro call? Mo Yesi lowered his eyes and glanced at the phone screen, which showed that the call was still in progress. Ye Xiao Mian nodded and handed him the phone. "I answered Miss Shen's call without your permission, do you mind?" Mo Yesi took the phone, looked at the call that had not been hung up, and frowned. "How could it be? I have nothing to mind." "Really? You don't mind?" Xiao Mian raised the corners of her lips and raised her voice, "but Miss Shen said you hate it when others take your things without permission. She said you would definitely be angry. So I just said if you keep waiting outside, I'm afraid you'll be angry." Mo Yesi lowered his head to look at her, and soon understood that she was speaking to Shenro, so he cooperated and raised his voice, saying softly, "You are my wife, don't say you are mine. My things are all yours, what can't you touch?" Xiao Mian was very satisfied with his cooperation and performance. "So, I don't mind rewarding him appropriately." She stood on tiptoes, kissed him gently on the lips, blinked her smart eyes, glanced at the screen that still showed the call in progress, and then said with a smile, "Hubby, when did you have such a sweet mouth?" Hearing her sweet voice, Mo Yesi's Adam's apple rolled, and the arm around her shoulders tightened. "Huh? Don't like it?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 750. Chapter 750 I volunteer. I like it. Xiao Mian glanced at the phone that had not been hung up yet, and suddenly felt that Shenro was a little pitiful. Is this the last bit of stubbornness? You didn't even hang up the phone? Anyway, if it were her, she would definitely not be able to bear it if she heard the person she liked being so affectionate with other women. "Honey, Miss Shen hasn't hung up the phone yet," Xiao Mian reminded her kindly. "Should you ask Miss Shen what business she has with you? I think there should be something more important when calling me so late." "Let's do it." Mo Yesi seemed to have just remembered that he still had to answer the phone. He looked at Xiao Mian, raised his brows slightly, and without deliberately lowering his voice, asked in a normal volume, "You don't mind?" "What do I have to mind?" Xiao Mian said with a magnanimous face. "You and Miss Shen are just friends. It's normal to call your friends. Please answer it quickly. You really don't mind? Well, you're not chatting with some woman behind my back." "What do I have to mind?" Xiao Mian urged him with her eyes. "Don't make Miss Shen wait in a hurry. Pick it up quickly." Mo Yesi saw that she really didn't mind, so he picked up the phone. "It's so late, what do you want from me?" His voice was cold. On the other end of the phone, Shenro's voice trembled, obviously suppressing something. "ACI, does Mian control you so strictly now? Do you need her permission to answer other people's calls? Don't you hate it when others control you? Are you interfering in your affairs? How could you?" Before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by Mo Yesi coldly. "You misunderstood, she has never cared about me or asked me to do so. And you? I volunteered. What's the matter with you? I heard Aunt Mo say that you blocked her mobile phone number and she was very angry. ACI, I want to persuade you." "Is this why you called?" Mo Yesi interrupted her impatiently. "ACI, if it's just because of this matter, then we have nothing to say. It's getting late, Mian is sleepy, and I have to sleep with her. That's it." After Mo Yesi finished speaking, he hung up the phone first. After hanging up the phone, he put the phone on the cabinet beside him. He held Xiao Mian in his arms and walked to the table. He glanced at the untouched food on the table and frowned slightly. "Why haven't you eaten?" Is it not to your liking? No, I want to wait for you to eat together. Didn't you say you were hungry a long time ago? Moyesi stretched out his hand to rub her head, hugged her and sat down together. He picked up the chopsticks and picked up a shrimp and tasted it. After he tasted that it was still warm, he picked it up again. Feed one to her mouth. He frowned lightly, but his eyes were filled with affection. Since you are hungry, just eat first and wait for me. Chiao Mian opened her mouth and ate the shrimp he fed. The takeaway he ordered was naturally delivered from the best hotel. The taste is absolutely top-notch. The meals are all packed in insulated boxes, so they don't get cold at all. The shrimps were very tender and delicious, which instantly aroused her appetite. As soon as she ate one, her stomach started growling. Moyesi took another chopstick and put it to her mouth. You are so hungry and you are still waiting for me. Are you stupid? Chiao Mian obediently opened her mouth, swallowed the food in her mouth in twos, and then picked up the chopsticks to pick up the vegetables and feed them to her. End of this chapter.